Okay, my people, let's finish up this practice test. The last part of this test only has a few problems, and they're not multiple choice. So I'm going to start with number 32. Okay, it says, what type of quadrilateral has exactly one pair of parallel sides? Well, hopefully you've been copying down your properties and definitions of quadrilaterals. And it turns out if we have one pair of opposite sides, it has to be a trapezoid. No doubt about it. It has to be a trapezoid. That's the definition of a trapezoid. Exactly one pair of opposite sides are parallel. If there was two pairs of opposite sides that were parallel, it would be a parallelogram. So in this case, it's not because it's exactly one pair. It's trapezoids. So number 33. 33 has a bunch of coordinates that we have to graph. So what I've done is, on a different page, I have graphed them, and they're right over here. Make this a little smaller so we can see it. So I have graphed points A, B, and C in this problem. And it's asking us to think and to find all the possible locations of the fourth point, point D, so that it makes a parallelogram formed using A, B, C, D in any order of the vertices. When they mean any order, it doesn't have to be A, B, C, D. It could be A, D, C, B. It could be A, C, D, B. It goes on and on. There's so many choices of where to put D. So let's take a look at where the three current points are, A, B, and C. They're locked in. Those are the three yellow points, A, B, and C, and I've graphed them. Well, where could point D possibly be? Well, I'm going to highlight one particular scenario. Approximately, we can put D around right there. How so? Well, if you can visualize, a parallelogram such that that would be point D. Now, I've kind of sketched it in, and we're going to talk about where exactly is point D. And I like to think about slope, for example. Notice the relationship between A and C. It's a horizontal line. So that must mean if it's a parallelogram, D is going to be somewhere along a horizontal line with B. So I know D is somewhere at the same height as point B. And I notice this is a length of 3 units, 1, 2, and 3. So the length of this particular segment here has to be 3 units as well. Therefore, what do we know about point D? It is definitely located at 2, 3. That is just one possible scenario of where D is, and I'm going to put that up here. D could be at 2, 3. Where else could D be? Well, DB can be in a few other locations. Let's try to use our imagination in here. What if we put D somewhere over here? Meaning, if the parallelogram had the order of these letters, A, D, B, C, point D would be over here. Notice that same logic. If A and C were horizontal, D and B would be horizontal because the opposite sides have to be parallel. And if this is 3 units away, this would have to be 3 units away. And what would that make point D? Well, point D, if I look at the coordinates, oops, excuse me. If I look at the coordinates carefully, that would be backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. Minus 4 up 3, negative 4 comma 3. That would be another possible scenario of point D. Okay, so we're going to keep on exploring here. Where else are the other options for D? So this is like a thinking problem. Well, where else could D be? Well, we put D over here. We put D over here. Well, what if we put D down here somewhere? And what would that look like? That would look like something like this. So it's going to be a little trickier to graph right now, and I'm going to talk about that graph here in a second. So what do I notice about this particular slope? Well, that slope goes down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. That would have to be the same parallel slope down 4 over 2 to find point D in here. So I believe that's where point D is going to be. And let's verify the other line in here. Let's talk about this yellow slope in here. What is that yellow slope? Well, that's going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 4 over 5. And if you notice, this is down 4 over 5 as well. So that is another location of part D. And what is that? D would be what? Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 6 and down how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 5, that would be a minus 5. Okay, so I've tried to point out several locations of D using your imagination, and that's the point of this problem, is to get you thinking, to explore where are the possible scenarios, possible values of D. And also keep in mind the values, the properties of a parallelogram, and opposite sides have to be parallel and congruent. And hopefully this helped you out. Now let's go back to 33. Problem 33, where is that problem? It's over here somewhere. Let's find it. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Excuse me, that was 33. Let's do 34. So when we do problem 34 in here, it says give the name that best describes this parallelogram. So we know it's a parallelogram, but we're trying to probably come up with a better name for this, a more specific name. And find the measures of the numbered angles. Well, when I look at this problem, it looks like all 4 sides are congruent. Right away, my brain says this is probably going to be a rhombus. How so? It's because that's one of the properties of a rhombus. All 4 sides are congruent. That's the same with a square, but a square has 90-degree angles, and I can obviously, this is not 90 degrees, this is 100. So when I'm looking at this picture here, some people see a rhombus, but what do we also want to see? We also want to see this is an isosceles triangle, and we also want to see that this is an isosceles triangle. So if that's 100 degrees, angle 2 and angle 3 are going to be 40. And this angle is going to turn out to be 100 as well. How do I know that? It's because if it's a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. That's what makes this to be 100 and that to be 100. And if that's 100 and 100, the yellow triangle is also isosceles, meaning angle 1 and angle 4, they are 40 degrees as well. So what do we know for sure? This is a rhombus, and all those measures of all those angles, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, all of them are 40 degrees. Okay, I think we're just about done because 35 doesn't apply to our test. We did not teach the entire chapter, and that is going to be taught in the second semester. So that's all you're responsible for. So hopefully this has really helped, and keep studying. Email me if you have any questions.